I hate mockbusters so much. In fact, a few of them I should mention is A Little Panda Fighter, Cars Life. Oh, and also not to mention, the one that ripped off Wind Waker was Oceanhorn. Hey, shut up, clone me.
As common as I've seen YouTubers talking about movie clones, I rarely see anybody talking about video game clones. So, guess I'll be the first. Now, before I dive into the actual game itself, I want to be very clear with you that's watching this video that, yes, I understand that people know that there's small studios who make mockbuster films and also games, but what people really miss is that there'll be some studios take inspiration from original games and make something new out of it.
Still, people say, yeah, Genshin Impact is still a Breath of the Wild rip. No, it's not!
No, it's not. Look, I have played the game, alright? Even though I have made cringy videos off that game. Hello, everyone. My name is Carflin. Which I'll never watch, but all you need to know is that I played both of these games and they're completely different from each other. That's all you need to know. Now, I want to talk about another inspirational game for this video. A game that's based off from Wind Waker, and the game is called Oceanhorn. Somehow I liked this when I was like 8 years old. Essentially, Oceanhorn is a mobile game, which I have to replay it for this video. Yeah, the graphics isn't great, the voice acting isn't great either, and the animation is very wonky looking. Ugh. Yeah, I can see why people say this is a Zelda ripoff, but otherwise, holy f***, this is such a good game. Literally, the three things I just said is the only thing wrong about this game. Everything else, the exploration, the controls, the dungeons, the puzzles, the monsters, the bosses, the lore, and the storytelling behind it, and holy mama spaghetti, the music is so good! Okay, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The studio that made Oceanhorn is a studio called Corn Fox, which is a very small studio. And you're wondering, how small? Well, at the time, at 2011, it took 2 years for the team to make this game. And when I looked up the team size, Google says it was 7 people. 7 people? That's like 4 times smaller than my English class. How does nobody talk about this game? Because not only does it have so many qualifications that a good game should have, but it also has one of the most satisfying adventure gameplays than any other adventure game I have ever played. And guess what I'm doing in this video, viewers? I'm going to be doing an entire gameplay through start to finish. I just want to say that this game isn't really a ripoff towards Zelda, in my opinion, but maybe my opinion will change, but who knows. Just take it as a grain of salt, if you'd be so kind. And by the way, spoilers alert. Or you're just not going to play, or you're going to type in the comment section,
Don't listen to him because it is obvious that he had never played Wind Waker before.
Oh, and not to brag, yes, I have played Wind Waker before. It's a fantastic game, but as much as I would like to talk about this game, that is not the title of this video. The title of this video is talking about why this game should get a little more attention than it already has. So, let's begin. Alright, we're in the loading screen right now. That music reminds me of my childhood around 8 years old. Anyways, the game starts off by us losing our father, who's been taken away by a giant robot monster named Oceanhorn. Just to keep this in mind, this is the final boss. Then after that catastrophe, we wake up and go and save our Pada. Haha, get it? Father in Spanish and the princess in Legend of Zelda? Wait, you don't get it? Oh, I thought it was a good one. Anyways, the controls in this game are really simple, and you get used to them really quickly, which I'm really happy with. So basically, like most Zelda games, you just go into a cave, do a bunch of puzzles, and get a sword and shield. After you get a sword and shield, you go down this path and talk to a man named Hermit, which he'll invite you into his hut and explain the entire lore. The lore in this game, in my opinion, is really well thought out, even for a team of 7, which I'm still kind of mind blown. So the lore of the story is an evil man named Mesmeroth, who went to a war against the people called the Arcadians. He brought his boats and also brought a dark energy magic called Triloth. The Arcadians built a robot machine called Oceanhorn, which is the robot that took away our father. Oceanhorn was originally supposed to destroy Mesmeroth armies, but the dark energy Triloft made it malfunction in a way that made it evil. The reason why I said this lore is very well thought out is because instead of establishing the lore in the very beginning of the game, you first establish the protagonist first, and then the protagonist and the player learns the lore a little bit later on in the game, which makes the lore very unforgettable, and it makes it feel like it's very important to the story. Unlike in Wind Waker, where the lore is introduced in the very beginning of the game, and then they just randomly show a random kid that has nothing to do with the lore, which makes the lore very forgetful in this game. But that's kind of forgiven since this game is hysterical at times. After that lore talk, you go up, get some rest, creepy guy shows up, sends a squads of robots, wake up, fight them off, and then Hermit tells you to go to a village called Ticarel. He gives you a golden key, which gives you an access to a door, which also gives you an access to a boat, which also gives you access to the open world. Oh, and also, Hermit has given us a quest. What quest that you may ask, viewers? Well, it's a quest to save all 3 emblems. What are the emblems, you may ask? Well, I guess like the best way to put it is, saving the Triforce. That's like the best way I can put it. Like, instead of triangles, you're saving circles instead. Yeah.
Dang it, I thought I was gonna make a point this game wasn't a rip-off.
Anyways, once we get to the town, we get off the boat and talk to a couple of NPCs. Some of them will talk about an island called Bomb Island, which is where we're heading next. I do really like when islands pop up from the ocean. It really makes the exploration enjoyable. It kind of has that feeling like, oh look, there's a new island, let's head over there. Instead of an invisible barrier that just blocks your way. The reason why we're going to Bomb Island first is, if it isn't quite obvious, we're getting bombs. In order to get bombs is first we have to go through a mine, do a bunch of puzzles, and then boom, we get bombs. No puns intended. Next stop is a desert island. Since we have bombs, we can now blow up walls and go inside a goblin camp, save a prisoner, and go on the other side of the island, where the prisoner talks to us that the first emblem is at the Great Forest. Once we get to the island, same as usual, play Think Fast with a bird with a bomb. Do some puzzles, go into a dungeon, do some more puzzles. Eventually, we're gonna need to fight someone, which might take a while. Oh, pardon me, I got that mixed up. I meant this won't take any time at all. Once you enter in the shrine, you are first greeted by one of the most amazing soundtracks. Like, who does the music? Listen to this. Seven people. I also gotta say, like, each puzzle and each dungeon in this game are really well made, which is important for each adventure game to have, if you want the player to have a very satisfying gameplay. Most puzzles in this game aren't too hard or too easy. Like, my very first gameplay when I was like 8 years old, it took me a little while to figure out some puzzles, and I had dopamine rushing into my brain once I solved them. And now we once reached the boss. The very first boss in this game. And it is a plant monster named Termas. You know, Termas is just basically an average boss fight for like beginner level. He's pretty basic and all, you know, just destroy all of his arms, and then it will try to suck you in. All basic stuff, you know? A good boss fight. And since we saved the Emblem of Earth, now we're off to save the Emblem of Ocean. First, we need to save Ticarel, because that creepy guy that we just saw earlier just sold a bunch of fireworks, so we have to defeat him. And after that, we have a romance scene. All charming and stuff. Next, we have to head to Southwind Isle to get some honey from a guy who is just stuck on the edge. Then, we need to deliver the honey to Gilfolk Drop. Also, I can't stop complaining how good the scoring is for every single island. Then we just delivered the honey to, wait,
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Since we delivered the honey to the gatekeeper to the cave where all the fish-like people live, we meet an old, naked fish who will talk about what happened to the Emblem of Ocean. He says a man in a dark cape who gave the king something that cursed him, making the palace frozen with the princess inside. What's very funny is that even though we do not know who the man is, it is the same guy who planted the seed in the Emblem of Earth's shrine and made the monster Termas. I really do like how the developers attempted to make the player learn more about the lore the further in they go into the gameplay. A nice touch. After that talk, we needed to go to the Chasm of Fire and then grab a fire spell. So you can head to the Frozen Palace, which is north where the nest is, and then go ahead and melt some ice that are blocking the path. Usually, like every dungeon, just do some puzzles, get some interesting tools, and use that tool to get a special key. Also use that special key to open a special door where you enter in the boss lair. The king is dead, but what the curse is doing to him is making him a zombie. And thank God he's wearing clothes. Oh wait, except the princess. And now he has awakened. Okay, to be honest, the first time I played this game, I died like multiple times to this boss because, you know, he's very annoying. Fortunately, I found a pattern which always breaks his weak point spot, so I can keep hitting him until he dies. And that's the Emblem of Ocean. And now finally the last emblem, the Emblem of Sun, before we go to the final boss. Now before we go to the Emblem of Sun, we gotta do a lot of prepping. And that's first going to Riptide Reef and get the Master Sword. I think they changed their name from Master Sword into Astro Blade. Alright, fine, I'll admit it, this game is a Zelda clone. During the prepping process, we just had to get a bunch of heart pieces. You know the deal, 4 pieces for 1 heart. And then we need to go to the Adventure Guild to talk to a guy that says that there's a graveyard island with a special treasure. The treasure at Graveyard Island is very useful. So once we get there, we just had to go inside a spooky cave, do some few puzzles, and then get a healing spell. It heals up to like 2 hearts, pretty nice. And now since we have that treasure, we can now go to the Emblem of Sun. Unfortunately, the Emblem of Sun is where that floating island is, which is also out of our reach. But our good friend Hermit can help us by building us a flying machine. We'll just have to help him out, like giving him the stuff that he needs to build a ship, like a stool for example. Okay, so you're asking for a traveling bed right now? Don't worry, sir, I think I know where there's one. At my camp, of course. Here, let me just bring it right back. Take 2 with traveling beds. Here you go, sir. Just give him a couple more items, and off we go. First crash land at Sky Island, then make your way to a village, then go into a building and talk to a man what happened to the Emblem of Sun. The lore in this cutscene is coming together, but in kind of a clunky way. This backstory actually happened like 20 years ago, where this man who was the follower of Mesmeroth was the same guy who had planted the seed, who was the same guy who also cursed the Royal Highness. I don't quite understand where he came from, but that makes it more confusing the more I think about it, so let's just put that aside. So he lies to the people in the village that a ghost in a machine can bring Sky Island back to the ground. All he just wants is the Emblem of Sun, which is the lady that is carrying the necklace right here. And here is how the railroad track connects. So first the lady jumps off and meets our father, and I don't even know how you're supposed to survive from that height. Okay, if she did survive, they eventually had a son, and then later on, she died without the developers explaining how. Okay, moving on. So we go into a cave and we have this cutscene where we throw a bomb to a machine that opens a door where there's a room full of more machines, which was a pretty weird cutscene, not gonna lie. So we go into the room, you know the drill, puzzles, special item, more puzzles, master key, and then the boss room. And the boss is Mesmeroth. Now compared to all the 2 bosses that we fought previously, I find Mesmeroth to be a very boring boss. Like, he throws fireballs and all you need to do is like reflect it with a shield. And if you just have your shield out for 24/7, then you're pretty much invincible. It's kind of like that Ganon boss from Ocarina of Time, but lamer. Took me a while, but I defeated him, so anywho. After all, we did save the Emblem of Sun. And then we just have to go to the final boss after this. Don't worry, Pada, I'm coming for you. In the Arcadian ruins, there's just not much to do. You just go straight to the boss. And oh yeah, about the final boss. Is it good or is it bad? I wouldn't say it's good. I would say it's amazing. The scoring, the difficulty, the intense, and the mechanic. This is everything you would ask for a boss fight. It feels like doing all this prepping up to this very moment feels worth it. The first time I played it, I died like 100 times. Because once his health bar is below 50%, he starts throwing bombs at you. I don't know if this is a little bit too extreme, but I can't really complain. Overall, I think Oceanhorn is a really cool boss. He's just sick. Like, can we be friends? Once you beat the first battle, the second battle is pretty easy. All you need to do is just fight this creepy dude, play the flute. Did that robot just killed me? Play the flute, and that's it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of our road. For this right now is a great time to discuss what I think about Oceanhorn as a game. And yes, I have changed my opinion that this game is, after all, a Zelda clone. But that does not mean that it is a bad thing. And yes, people may say this game is way too alike to Wind Waker, or others may say this game is a complete ripoff. But after all, after I put a little bit of thought in this, I would say Oceanhorn as a game itself is an inspirational masterpiece. The reason why I said that is because despite how similar the elements are in both Zelda and Oceanhorn, Oceanhorn just feels like a completely different game through lore and gameplay. Honestly, I can't really say much, but except I'm really happy this game exists. This game gives me so many happy memories when I was little, and I will remember that until the day I die. If I had any complaints about this game, I would say I'm not a big fan with the Mesmeroth boss, and the mother and the father's lore is very confusing. But overall, if you at least have played Oceanhorn for like 5 minutes, you can't say that this team of 7 did an amazing job with some tons of effort put into it. And I'll leave my final last review. I give this game an 8 out of 10. Despite the fact I don't know if this is true, but maybe these developers, that maybe they were originally inspired from Zelda, like how I'm inspired by some YouTubers. And if you're watching this video, I highly recommend you playing this game. On the App Store for $7. But if you want to play a free version of Breath of the Wild, then I highly recommend you playing Genshin Impact, but play what you want, I don't care. Whoa, that felt good! I probably missed like a couple islands and stuff, but if you want to play the game yourself, then go ahead. Otherwise, I think this explains everything why Oceanhorn is an underrated Zelda clone. So let me know in the comments. Have you played this game? Will you give it a go for $7 in the App Store? I just made this video because this game gave me happy memories when I was little. Yeah, I'll see you later. Goodbye. Oh yeah. Well, subscribe to my channel if you want to see that video coming at some point. No, seriously, for real this time. This video took a lot out of me, so I'm gonna go and play some Minecraft. Stay cool, and I'll see you in the next video. Hope you enjoy the credits. Bye!